So here is the sloppy version of the timeline. So 0 AD, Christ born. 30 to 33, it's when he was teaching his ministry, crucified, resurrection. 69, 70 AD is when he returned in judgment. He ruled for 1,000 years. Satan was imprisoned. Satan was loosed on 1070 AD, which we call 1776, the start of the United States. Satan's season is 250 years. It is now 1319 AD, aka 2025. Next year is end of Satan's short season, the Battle of Gog and Magog and the return of New Jerusalem. That is next year. That'd be a 250-year reign. It's the short season compared to Christ's 1,000-year reign. But that is where we're at. Hope that helps.
So we just gonna mix preterism and the phantom time hypothesis all together. We just mixing that all together to make up this bullshit right here. So let me explain. So preterism is the belief that the Jesus character returned in 70 AD when the Romans came in with Titus, conquered Jerusalem, subdued Judea, and destroyed the temple, the second temple, and took every stone off, which of course is the Gospels are written after this event, so therefore that's why they knew to say that. But anywho, preterism believed that the Jesus character had already come, that he came at that time frame. Well, that's problematic because when you look at the storyline of when this Jesus is supposed to come, he's supposed to come with an army. He's supposed to establish his reign. And what they do in preterism is they say, oh, it's not a literal coming. It's not a literal descendancy from the heavens. It's not literal that they come with their army, that angels show up. It's not a literal reign, but the golden church age of Christianity, of the growth of the church. By the way, when you think about the growth of the church from the very beginning time frame of the first century all the way to now, there was no unified church. There was no time frame where it was like this. We all believe the same, know the same, follow the same, do the same. From the very beginning, there was this version, that version, Gnostics. There was the Gnostics. There was the Marcions. There was the Valentinians. There was, the Paulinians. There were so many variations of Christianity from day one. From day one. Imagine, if you will, let's utilize the story itself. 12 people who were disciples, let's say they existed. Those 12 people go out and they start teaching Christianity, but they're teaching it based on their experience, their perspective. And they start that from that 12, you're going to get listeners and hearers, and they're going to have 12 different versions, 12 different understandings. This person, Peter, may have a deeper connection with the Exodus story, whereas James may have a deeper connection with the Abraham and Isaac and Jacob storyline. And so they may teach differently, and they will teach differently. Just like you can go to different Baptist churches, all of the same Baptists, and they'll have some different teachings. Different Catholic churches, they're going to have some different teachings because people are involved, humans, and that's what humans do. So you got these people, you got different variations from day one. There's no golden age of Christianity, as preterism would say. But of course, preterism is saying it's all symbolic. That the devil's handiwork was loose, was not as tight. And that it was a golden age of Christianity. I want that golden age thought process of Christianity to also, those people who think that, also think, let's talk about this reign. Do you think my ancestors felt golden? Do you think the Irish was feeling that golden Christianity when they were forced into it? Do you think the Crusades, that the people in the Levant, they felt golden? Do you think that the people in the Roman Empire, when Theodosius said that everyone in Rome, everyone under the Roman Empire has to become Christian now, you think those other people, the people who believed in their religions, felt that golden touch, that nice gentle rub? Quite frankly, you know they did not. No society, other than the elites who are in control, has felt any gentle rub of Christianity in its growth. It is only time it feels more of a gentle rub is when parents force it on their children. That's the only somewhat non-violent way. But as we discussed yesterday in the live, uh, oftentimes fall asleep in church. You might catch them hands. Actually, there was a time frame in Europe Europe and America, that if you fell asleep in church, they believed the devil was upon you, and they would either make you stand up the whole time, put you in a corner, or slap shit out of you, beat you with a stick. There was time where if you didn't go to church on Sunday, they would have people who walked around town with a stick to beat the shit out of you if you didn't show up at church. So even after, your parents indoctrinated you, it wasn't golden. Witchcraft, trials, and so on and so forth. And so that's preterism. So we know that this Jesus character, there hasn't been this 1,000-year golden reign, and we know that uh, they see it as symbolic. We know this Jesus did not return in 70 A.D., but many people want to believe this aspect of preterism. But even beyond that, what the other person is doing is the phantom time hypothesis. He is saying that there's 700 years that's missing in history, and that it was wrote in. Okay, so this starts back in 1991. It starts with a German historian, and this German historian, Herbert Illing, but he proposed that there was Pope Otto the Third, I believe. Pope Otto the Third decided that, hey, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm the Pope at the 1,000 year, or it was another Pope, one of those, the Pope either before him or after him, but they wanted to be the Pope at the 1,000 year. So he proposed that they purposely added 300 years in order to be the Pope in the 1,000 year. This also they created the idea of Charlemagne, and that it was just a propaganda stunt as to why this was done. There was another Petrov, another historian, Petrov. He proposed the 700 years because Illing proposed the 300 years. Petrov then added to that to make it 700 years, saying that the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages never happened, I should say. The medieval time frames, that stuff didn't happen. And that is all based on a mistake of the Gregorian calendar with this 10-day correction, and it should have been a 13-day correction from the Julian calendar. Now, we know that these things are incorrect because the Gregorian calendar doesn't make its correction from the Julian calendar. It corrects the Julian calendar, but the 10-day correction, actually, the 10-year correction, actually comes from the Nicene Council, and and doesn't have anything to do with calculating from the Julian calendar. We also know that this is false because even though you can look and find archaeology that demonstrates that the medieval times happened, that these other types of cultures were around, but we can see that the timelines of our calendar matches, because I get this on my live sometimes, the timeline on our calendar matches up with the Tang Dynasty calendar. It also matches up with the Arabic calendar. So it still matches up as far as events that they are saying that happen in their calendar at their time frames. That matches with our calendar, even though the Chinese calendar is ahead of us. When you put things in the right perspective, when they say that, oh, Marco Polo came in this year, of the Chinese calendar, and the European calendar is saying that it came in this year, then the time frame matches up in every other event that shares on their calendars, and our calendars match up. So we don't have that. And then there's tree rings. The tree rings and the astrological events, you can say man, man, man on the other stuff, but you can't do shit about the tree rings, and you can't do shit about, Halley's Comet with its 75-year rotation of coming into visibility for us. You can't change that. You can't fake that part. So, it is what it is. But this is what people do when they desperately want to believe in something, but they don't like the current modern whoever's in charge organizations. They make shit up. People love conspiracy theories. But y'all have a great day, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. Like, share the video, and subscribe.